for joining me. This is my 14-day unchallenge. I'm calling it yoga small plates, which are bite-sized recipes to help nourish exhaustion, particularly looking at adrenal fatigue and exhaustion. Um, Today's day 4. We've been talking about some different breathing practices that might be helpful. We're going to put some of those into play today with asana practice. So when you're feeling exhausted, sometimes the hardest thing to do is actually get onto the mat. So not demanding a lot of yourself to begin with is really important. So start with, I'm going to do one pose, or maybe I'm going to do 2 poses today. And that's enough of a goal. Is even 1 pose is enough of a goal. So what I thought I'd show you today is a practice I like to use when I don't have a lot of time, and also because it's so nourishing for the kidneys, what it does to the kidneys. So what we're going to do is sunbird and cobra and sunbird again. So sunbird helps us to tune into this area in the lower back, particularly the child's pose part of that dynamic pose, and I'll show you that. And if you like, we can add a couple of things to the practice. Asanas are not about asanas. They're about you. So it's not about sort of like doing the asana right. It's about, how do I adapt this asana to meet the needs that my system is calling for? And if your system is calling for nourishment and reducing adrenal fatigue, you may do the practice a little differently than you would do it in another situation. So one of the things we're going to do is add a little breath pausing, which in Sanskrit is called kumbhaka. I've been working with kumbhakas for years and years, and they're really interesting, and they can shift the physiology. So rather than just also putting on that idea that, or thinking through that lens of asanas are about the musculoskeletal and alignment and structure, well, that's useful. I like to think about asanas through the lens of physiology and how they change the neurobiology of the system, how they affect the physiology of the system. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Just in those 2 poses, we can do some really interesting things. We will add an inhale pause, a pause at the end of the inhale on cobra, and we'll add a pause at the end of the exhale when we get to child's pose. Okay, so let's get started. So if you like, you can join me. You don't need much. A mat, a blanket, some carpet even will be fine. You can bring your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. And rather than doing, a usual cat-cow where we're just sort of moving the pelvis into anterior posterior rotation, doesn't have a tremendous amount of value. We'll train the core muscles to maintain some strength here as you exhale. So there's an exhale and there's a little sense of engagement here in the lower belly, and then soften the elbows a bit. And as you inhale, lift the ribs up out of the hips. So it looks like this. And I'm kind of pulling back isometrically with my hands. I can pause here if I want. And then on the exhale, there's a roundness. The lower belly draws in, the elbows come down, then the hips, and then the forehead. So you bring the elbows down first. And then on the inhale, coming back up. Lengthening, drawing the shoulder blades back, isometrically pulling with the hands, a little tone in the abdomen, and we'll start to feel a stretch here under the ribs. And then on the exhale, rolling back. It's very difficult to show this while I'm talking, so I'm going to be quiet a couple of times here, inhaling, pausing. At the end of the exhale, you can pause too. And then maybe for the next few, we'll bring in that healing sound for the kidneys. So that, like blowing out a candle. So I'm exhaling through my mouth now, blowing out the candle. feeling like I'm expanding the kidney area. So next we're going to slide forward onto the belly, and we'll bring cobra in here. So hands, just a regular cobra, hands by your ribs. You can feel a little bit of engagement in the abdomen on your exhale, and then on the inhale, lifting up, pausing for 1 or 2 counts, and exhaling back down. Sorry, Instagram, if you can't see me, I'm coming back down here. Okay, let's do that again. So inhaling up, pausing 1 or 2 counts, and exhaling down. This one might feel kind of challenging if you're feeling really exhausted. So don't feel like you have to push. With Cobra, never push with your hands. It just compresses your lower back, and it's not teaching your spine to do anything that useful. So what we want to do instead is pull back with the hands. And if you're more open, that's fine. Just move your hands back further. And then exhaling down. Okay, last one. Take a moment and rest. And here you can breathe into your kidneys. And then coming back up to tabletop pose again, we'll go back to sunbird. So inhaling forward. And on the exhale, feel the work you just did in your back from doing Cobra. So notice how your body responds. And perhaps you even feel a little bit more open because some of that what's called proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. Listen, it's hard to show you because I really like to teach breath centric. So it's difficult to show you while I'm talking. But I hope you're getting the idea. You can do the whoo sound again. And then, of course, like staying in child's pose for a few breaths is really nice. And you can feel the breath in the kidney area here. You might even bring in some of that midnight blue color from yesterday. Okay, so that is just a quick little less than 5-minute mini practice for nourishing the kidneys and adrenals. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that it's useful for you. And please leave a question or a comment just to let me know you were here. It's always nice. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9. I have some more little asana practices. I think I'm doing that tomorrow. There's some more little asana practices to share with you. Thanks for being here. Bye.